Hello, dear lovely audience. Welcome back to another Bravo TV new recap. Everyone, I know you'll have been waiting for this. Thank you guys so much for your patience. The Next Gen NYC cast member gave a quick tour of her new place just minutes after receiving the keys. Emira Spain experienced a mix of emotions as she said goodbye to her Manhattan home. The Next Gen NYC cast member shared the experience on Instagram this week, shortly after securing the keys to her new apartment. Although Emira was clearly stoked about the big move, she was admittedly sad to leave her former unit. Why Emira Spain left her longtime Manhattan home? Kind of sad. You guys, I'm freaking the F.K. out. I just got the keys to my apartment. I'm so unwell, she said in a September 6th reel. So many of you guys are surprised that I moved. Obviously, I have a really wonderful, beautiful apartment now that I am so grateful for. It's just not big enough anymore. She continued, I'm very excited and kind of sad to be leaving. I put so much love and care into my current apartment. It was the longest apartment I've ever been in New York. Related, Emira Spain tells all on her life after Next Gen NYC's Season 1 finale. Emira proceeded to take fans on an empty apartment tour, showcasing the large living room with lightwood floors, a row of single-hung windows, and recessed lighting. She was particularly pumped about the open-concept layout as well as the kitchen/dining space, which featured a waterfall island, dark wood cabinets, chrome appliances, and a block-range hood that matched the stone countertops. Related, where the Next Gen NYC cast stands after Season 1 finale, exclusive. The kitchen is literally stunning, Emira continued. I think this is my favorite part of the entire apartment. The influencer went on to showcase the multiple closets, as well as the walk-in pantry and in-unit laundry room. She then made her way to what would become her glam room. I'm about to show you. This is the reason why we're moving, she said. The glam room is almost double the size of my current glam room. I know I have a very beautiful view in my current apartment. I had to sacrifice some things, and one of the things I was willing to sacrifice was my view. Emira pointed out that the glam room windows looked out into an alley and a brick wall. Although it wasn't exactly picturesque, she insisted she didn't really care. It's fine for me, because this is very New York, she said before sharing a look at her really big, gorgeous bathroom. The space featured a horizontal mirror, white countertops and lightwood cabinetry, as well as recessed lighting and a huge shower with glass doors. Emira Spain reflects on her new chapter and reset. Related, Emira Spain reveals why dating boyfriend Kevin is the most insane experience. Exclusive. I literally can't, Emira told the camera. I feel like I have had so many mixed emotions about moving, and now that the day is finally here, I feel so excited. Feels like a true New York apartment. I've lived here for almost 10 years now. I'm in awe every time I move, because it's like a completely new chapter, new reset, new vibe. Related, Emira Spain opens up about her parents, details on her beauty queen mom and chill dad. The former Texas resident also shared a peek at her move in a September 9th TikTok captioned, "Moving into my dream apartment. I'm freaking out." The video showed Emira and her mom packing up some of her items while movers began taking larger pieces from the unit. She said she was most nervous about her 3,000-pound marble table, but the roadway movers team managed to pack the item without any issues. While Emira was ecstatic about the move, she said her cat, Cinnamon, wasn't exactly thrilled, at least not initially. Poor Cinny did not handle the move very well, Emira said. She just doesn't like traveling. Learn more about Emira's life in NYC, including her impressive career journey. Emira Spain officially moves into her dream apartment. I'm freaking out. Emira Spain stood at the threshold of her new life, the heavy door of what would become her sanctuary closing behind her with a gentle click. For a moment, she paused, just long enough to gather breath, memories, fantasies, and then she let herself in. The dream becomes reality. From the moment Emira first saw the listing, the photos, the video walkthrough, the sunlight spilling across hardwood floors, she felt the spark, possibility, the promise that her life was shifting. The kitchen with herringbone tile backsplash, the arched windows that let in golden afternoon light, the skyline view, distant, shimmering. She pinned the listing on her phone, stared at the images at 2 a.m. Sometimes, in the quiet dark, she whispered to herself, maybe one day. And then, just like that, one day arrived. Now, with a key in her hand, she trembled, looking at the apartment number on the plaque next to the door, the brass knocker polished just enough, but still warm in the sunlight. She thought of all the hours she'd spent planning, saving, imagining. All of it condensed into this tick of a clock. She pushed the door open. The threshold was wine-colored light, lacquered wood edges, a gentle draft that carried the scent of fresh paint and new beginnings. 2. First steps inside. The hardwood floor, oak, pale cypress, creaked slightly under her boots. Emira's heart pounded with every echoing footstep. She dropped the box from her hand, the box that contained her first cocoon of things, a few favorite books, her laptop, her journal, that sweater she loves. Nothing fancy, just the threads that tethered her to the things she knows. The room spread out before her, a living room/dining area, open concept, walls of cream, one accent wall, deep teal, beckoning creativity. An arched window spanned almost half the wall, framed by original molding. Sunlight dipped in, dust motes dancing in its wake, and Emira turned her face upward, closing her eyes. She couldn't believe she was here. 3. The details that made her fall in love. It's one thing to imagine a dream. It's another to inhabit it. Light. The way light pours in, morning light that whispers soft and pale, afternoon light that turns everything golden, evening light that casts long shadows over the tall ceilings. Emira had once thought that light was something she only saw in photos. Here, she could play in it. Windows. Arching, tall. They looked like they belonged in an old European building. The frames were original, perhaps restored. She could spit out her name through them, shout it, Emira, and feel it carried off into the city. Kitchen. Marble countertop. Brass fixtures. Deep basin sink. She ran her fingers over the cool stone. The tile on the walls formed subtle geometric patterns. There was space for a little herb garden on the sill. Space for art. Space for meals shared, conversations, laughter. Bedroom. Soft carpet underfoot, a closet big enough she might not bang into the door. A view of fire escapes and second-story rooftops, chimney stacks kissing the sky. She could lie in bed and watch the moon creep across building facades. Balcony. Small, iron-railed. Enough for a chair and a small table. Enough for a cup of tea on a Sunday morning. Enough to look out at the world. Enough to breathe. The little things. The built-in bookshelves. The niche in the entry hall where she could hang her coats and display small pieces of art. The flush lighting that dimmed easily. The gentle hum of pipes that connected to life, to structure, to permanence. 4. Emira freaks out in the best way. She dropped more boxes. She washed dishes even though there were none. She paced. She danced. She laughed in corners. She sat in silence, overwhelmed, eyes wide. The weight of what this meant anchored in her chest, sometimes squeezing, sometimes lifting. "I'm freaking out," she said aloud to the empty rooms. She thought of the past, tiny apartments, roommates, shifting schedules, the constant feeling of being in transit. She thought of what it took, late nights, hustling, compromise, sacrifice. She remembered times she had come home to a room too small for her moods, a ceiling too low for her dreams. All of it built toward this. There were tears. Quiet ones, her voice catching. On the threshold of her bedroom, she sat on the floor, back leaning against the wall, letting the moment wash over her. I did this. The first nights. The first night, she brought in a lamp, a floor cushion, a thick blanket. Nothing else, just light and warmth. She lit a candle, watched shadows play, opened a window and let the city breath in, the night sounds drift in, sirens, distant music, laughter from below. The sheets felt crisp. The silence felt soft, expansive. She spread herself across the bed, arms out, imagined stars over her, stared at the ceiling and thought, "This will be home." Morning came. Light slanted through the arched windows. The balcony caught slivers of sunrise. She stepped out, breathed in air not filtered through closed doors. Coffee in hand, she watched balconies across the courtyard, windows waking up, curtains stirring. She felt like she was in a painting. 6. Dreams deferred, dreams realized. There had been times when the dream felt impossible, when she wondered if she would ever be able to afford anything more than cramped quarters, when she doubted whether the city, this industry, this life would ever let her settle, when she compared her journey to everyone else's, to influencers who had more, to people who seemed established. But she had built something, step by step. She had agents, team members, hard work. She had late nights, long edits, practice, countless revisions. She had let some doors close so others could open. She had said no so she could say yes. And now this door opened. This apartment. This space. It didn't erase the struggle, but it honored it. It echoed with all the times when the walls were too low, the ceilings too close. Now, those ceilings were high. The walls were sturdy. The windows were wide open. 7. Decor. Crafting the personal. With each box unpacked, she shaped the space into her own. Art. Photos of her past performances, slides from runway shows, prints she collected, bright abstract pieces, line drawings, black and whites. She hung them with care, balancing negative space, letting them breathe. Furniture. A mid-century sofa, curved, upholstered in a soft linen color. A coffee table with brass legs. A vintage rug in muted jewel tones. A reading chair by the window. A desk for writing and editing with scattered pens, journals, her laptop. Plants. A fiddle leaf fig in the corner. Succulents on the windowsill. Ferns in baskets. Green tendrils creeping into light. Watering them felt like nurturing a part of herself. Textures and fabrics. Knit throws, silk pillowcases, a cashmere blanket. Curtains that billowed rather than hung flat. Rugs underfoot where her bare feet touched the floor. Layers of scent, lavender, citrus, sandalwood. Candles, essential oils, mysterious incense sticks. She wanted it to smell like peace. Soundscapes. She curated a playlist, morning acoustic, afternoon jazz, evening ambient. She imagined Sundays. Tea, manuscript, slow music. These were the touches that turned space into home. 8. Facing insecurities, celebrating victory. Even though she loved her dream apartment, doubt lingered. Was she worthy of it? Was she indulgent? Was this success showy, selfish? Would people judge? Would her work live up to this home? Late at night, she sometimes lay awake, listening to her breathing, the hum of the city, wondering, what comes next? But the next morning she'd rise, light hitting her face, soft rug under her feet, this place that carried her. She would decide she belonged here. That this wasn't vanity. This was acknowledgement. This was rest. This was space to create, to heal, to grow. She began to journal in the apartment, pouring in gratitude. For mentors, for friends, for followers who believed in her, for family who held her up, for her own persistence. She walked through each room, naming what each needed, what she hoped. Laughter, rest, books, guests, ideas, solitude. She turned towards the window and promised to use the light, to let it wash her. She promised to share this space, to let it be more than her fortress, a place for people she loves, a haven for dreams she hasn't yet named. 9. Community connection, shared joy. Soon, boxes became guests. She had a small housewarming, just a few people, but the apartment throbbed with warmth. Her best friend brought over snacks, another dragged in a boom box, someone hung fairy lights. They sat around the coffee table, drank wine, laughed. Someone touched the brass fixture in the doorway and said how lovely it was. Someone else sipped from a coffee mug and sighed. This is nice. Emira walked from room to room. One guest in the bedroom said how the light falls just right on those pillows. Another in the kitchen repeated how it felt like sunshine in a bottle. She felt swollen with gratitude. This apartment was hers, but also theirs too. She brought kindness into this space. She baked cookies. She invited someone to nap when they said they needed it. She let someone cry on her couch. She shared her victory quietly. She let it ripple out. The view, looking outward. Standing on the balcony, night falling, city lights flickering, Emira watched windows light up across blocks. She saw lives, people cooking dinner, watching television, reading. Each window story. The sky above, dark and wide, with stars blinking where city haze allowed. She thought of how far she'd come, how dreams shift, how what feels like a fantasy becomes scaffolding for more dreams. She thought of the next steps, projects she wants to start in this home, podcasts, writings, content more intentional. She thought of rest, of silence, of waking up and choosing joy. Here, in this dream apartment, she felt the firm presence of herself, not just the public, curated Emira, but the Emira who doubts, who hopes, who quietly weeps and fiercely perseveres. She felt rooted. 11. A letter to herself. That evening, she sat cross-legged on the floor in the living room, soft carpet under knees. She opened her journal and wrote, "Dear Emira, you're here. You did it. This apartment is more than walls. It's testament. It's memory in the making. You deserve every ray of sun that falls across the floor, every laugh that echoes in this room, every sleepless night of excitement. Here is space to breathe,
Space to dream. Space to rest.
hold on, keep creating,
Keep loving.
keep allowing your fears and your joy to live side by side." She closed the journal. She pressed her palm against her heart. She cried, whispering, "Thank you." 12. Looking forward. Moving in wasn't the end, it was the beginning. And Emira knows that. She knows there will be new challenges. Landlords, bills, responsibilities, small fixes that cost time. Sometimes decor ideas that fall short of what she envisioned. Sometimes loneliness in big spaces. But she also knows that she has what so many dream of, a foundation, a sanctuary, room to grow. She plans to host more, to turn her kitchen into a gathering place, to let laughter fill corners, to write in corners bathed in light, to rest when she's tired, to paint when inspiration hits, to love the messes and the order. She will call this place home.
She will make it soft.
She will make it hers. 13. Epilogue. What dream apartment really means. Dream apartments aren't just about aesthetics or square footage or location. They're about alignment between your life and your values, between your inner world and the shell that holds it. They're about safety, joy, possibility. Emira's dream apartment is not perfect, but it's perfect for her. It holds her fears and her celebrations. It whispers, "You are seen, you are safe, you are becoming." It gives her room to let out voice, to write, to rest, to rise. And so, on that threshold, when she turns the knob of her prairie blue front door, when she steps in and breathes, she is freaking out not out of fear, but out of triumph. Because she's arrived, not just in place, but in belief, in possibility, in home. Closing reflection. "I'm freaking out," Emira said again, to the walls, to her reflection in the window. And then she laughed. Because of course she was. And because she didn't need anything else to feel wholly alive. If you like, I can adapt this into a different format, Instagram caption style, or a magazine feature with quotes, or even change the setting. Do you want that?